Найс. Вроде все работает. Я не помню, сколько нам дел осталось. По-моему, то ли 2. То ли 3.
Я не вижу твоего ютубера.
Это плохо, потому что я эту игру нормально не могу сворачивать. Сейчас попробуем. Да, у меня были с этим траблы в прошлый раз. Тоже. О, я смог свернуть. На какие кнопки это произошло? Надо запомнить. Сейчас видно? Надеюсь, да.
Да, порядок.
Дело времени.
Потребовала Шерлока.
На какую кнопку? Автобег, ага. Блять, я застрял нахуй.
Ага.
На каком тейбл, блядь?
Мы закончили Бани, и это следующее дело.
Да.
I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he was in a hurry when he wrote this
Забулил Лестрейду.
A wax seal with the monogram E.B. The Brackenstall family coat of arms.
Я был бы дуже радий. Окей. А тут же типа сувениры и их... Я не помню, сколько их.
So, what is it, Holmes?
Promising, as always, it appears to be a case of murder.
So you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. These people belong to high society. The quality of the writing paper, the EB monogram, their coat of arms. The crime was committed before midnight.
Holmes, how can you possibly tell?
Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Scotland Yard was notified. Lestrade himself had to make haste there, and finally compose the letter he sent to me. All of that makes for a fair night's work.
It makes sense. Lestrade also speaks of the woman he released.
That seems to indicate that she had been held somewhere during the crime. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
Свалил.
Пошел закат.
Или нет? Оставим его в этой же одежде, пожалуй.
Ah, Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Это то дело, откуда у меня есть скриншот грустного Лестрейда.
Да?
Да, он там типа перед окном смотрит.
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid to raise a right.
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
Стильно уселся.
Lord Ramsay Brackenstall. Baron Lyndon Brackenstall.
Бегать, конечно, по этому помещению не весело.
Lord Brigham Brackenstall.
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Lord George Brackenstall. Sir Warthen Brackenstall.
Тебе надо на каждую
The
картину
Brackenstall
потыкать.
family seems rather austere.
Ну, мне, конечно, надо. По делу не знаю, надо ли.
Это забавно, когда тебе сказали, там сидит
Allow
жертва,
me to
поговорить
introduce
с ней.
myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you that, even if I were to attempt to deny it.
Я про это дело ничего не помню.
А помнишь, там наёбка на уёбка?
Да.
Ну, это
Что-то такое
везде.
было.
В принципе.
Да.
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room until after 11, absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and, oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw two others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And then?
When I came to myself, I found that they had secured me tightly to a dining room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
He fought with the intruders?
Yes, I think he had heard them, for he was holding his stick. But they were three, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, the older one,
Драматичный
struck
кадр
him a
посмотрели
terrible blow
на
with the poker.
служанку.
I fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Then my brave Teresa came to my assistance.
Did these three villains steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard, but you can see for yourself in the dining room.
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those bruises?
Oh, do you? Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time. Out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Your ladyship?
Общаемся дальше.
Teresa, I
Служанками
would like to
интересно
hear your
общаться.
testimony.
А?
Certainly, sir.
Мне нравится общаться со служанками.
Сейчас будем общаться со служанкой. Ура.
Пора. Напоминает мне мой диплом. Это картина.
У тебя классный диплом.
Да.
А что у меня произошло? Ладно. Я залагала.
М.
М. Капец, там все в одном месте находится, даже не наведешься.
As I stood by my bedroom window, I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge gate. But I thought nothing of it at the time. Oh, if I'd known.
And then?
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress scream. And down I ran, to find her tied to the chair and him on the floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
Информативно.
Странно, что она увидела 3 людей, такая, ну, я пойду спать.
Ну, если они просто были волкинг на улице, то это как-то...
Ну если на улице, то да, я думала в зоне их, ну, территории.
Не, я не знаю, ну там просто сказано, типа, она их видела.
Просто помню, что она их увидела в лунном свете, да.
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
Сейчас как что-нибудь увидим. Я помню, тут еще
Подумала,
есть
что
дело
как
про
что-нибудь.
то, что
Most definitely made by
Ватсону
picture
на
frame.
голову нужно каких-то гусениц сыпать.
This
Что?
is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important
Там про
inside.
растения.
I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it.
Я не помню гусениц, но я
This
помню
is Sir
голубей
Eustace's safe.
и оранжерею.
Да.
This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid
Так
Teresa
неловко
was taken at a
прифотошоплено.
port, but which one? So the lady and her maid came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
Пришла кража фотки. В чем ты застрял, Шерлок? Он сидит на кресле, это не смешно.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
Нет.
Куда вы ушли, мистер Холмс?
Пацаны, я вас не слышу.
Капец. Пошел гулять.
Мне просто интересно, тут можно вне событий, типа, найти что-то. Тут же вроде можно найти... типа украденные приборы. Они, по-моему, в колодце. Видимо, сначала нужно остальным позаниматься.
Будет закрыть, тебе как минимум нужен инструмент, чтобы...
В смысле закрыть? Там деревяшка поверх лежит.
Ну... Что ты голыми руками ее уберешь?
Да.
Шерлок слишком чопорной для такого.
Ну
Он, скорее
ладно.
всего, сломает.
Взорвет вам колодец.
Да.
Antique
Принесет
hunting
торт.
weapons. A decanter
Ох уж
standing
этот
next to the
торт.
open bottle. An inseparable pair indeed.
Келых.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured.
Информативно, я не разбираюсь в вине.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other 2 are clear. Chateau Calon-Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru.
French.
This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen. These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France. A bottle of wine is missing here.
Так она на столе.
Ну, типа, да.
An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents.
Или
The criminals
нет?
did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware. The hunting scene. A deer hunt.
Ведем мужчину, я на картины смотрю вообще.
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his
Шерлок прям
attacker when he
подробно
received the
изучает
blow to his
картину.
head. There are no other apparent injuries.
Просто из вежливости спросил Ватсона,
A
что
fur
он
trader's cabin.
знал.
Да.
Важнее
A
посмотреть на
hunting
пейзажи.
scene.
Ну, как бы некрасиво у Ватсона не спросить, что он думает. Даже если больше хочется посмотреть на картины, все равно нужно спросить.
That must be the murder weapon. The head was cracked with the force of the blow.
Ой, посмотрел на руку, вспомнил, как в ёбаном Шерлоке Ктулху, не ремейкнутом, там говорится, что проколот там большой палец на самом деле средний или наоборот.
It is covered
Это
in blood.
прям...
Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation.
Это нулевая коммуникация с тем, кто писал тексты, и тем, кто
Quite a
делал
large
картинку.
stick, a formidable weapon. Quite a lot.
Да, да.
Barefoot. He had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress.
Что будем изучать? Камин на полычка.
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
Так, на какую кнопку это? Я забыл. Я вспомнил. Не помню, какой там правильный вывод по поводу всех из этих вариантов, поэтому...
The hunting scene. A hunter's cabin.
Говори с кем-нибудь еще.
A
Я на картины
trapper's
смотрю,
hut.
ты чё, офигел?
The Brackenstall.
Ты что, офигел? Типа работать? Нет.
Не буду, конечно. Ватсон, ну вы как предложите?
A fur trader's cabin.
Пытаюсь на картину над дверью посмотреть, а мне говорят поговорить с кем-нибудь.
Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail.
Дог,
I will
дог,
take it
дог,
with me.
дог, дог. Дог, 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 дог.
У нас есть такой? Это
This is the
Тоби?
chair that
Это
Lady
Тоби.
Brackenstall was tied to.
О, он нюховой пес.
Он классный.
Не, ну это безусловно.
Так. Возможно, тут тоже можно играть за Тоби. Ладно, пойдем попиздим, конечно, сначала, чтобы лишний раз на загрузку не смотреть. Во-во-во-во-во. Я про это, смотри, смотри. Блять. Башка Шерлока мешает. О.
Как там? Tell me.
I've searched outside for footprints without any luck.
Tell me tomorrow.
Надо. Ну, видимо, он сквозь окно искал, ничего не нашел.
Ничего не нашел, кошмар. Расстроился.
There are 3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his 2 sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband's safe. I do not know the combination.
We have to open it.
Взорвет.
Your ladyship?
Ща как уничтожим ваш сейф
Let us try
поганый.
to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Переиграл и уничтожил.
Так легко взломать сейф, разве?
На самом деле, в более поздних Шерлоков менее уебанские загадки, чем в первых. Ну, первые, типа, понятно, это были квесты нулевых, и они были отвратительные в этом плане. Типа, помнишь, как у нас был какой-то ёбнутый пазл на кладбище? Это было еще тогда, когда у меня ломались сейвы, потому что нельзя было делать больше 2 сейвов, иначе игра считала, что я охуел. Как ты посмел так сделать? И не работало после этого. И там мне каждый раз приходилось решать заново какой-то уебанский, типа, головоломку тоже на замке. Это, по-моему, было в... Ща. Это было в Джеки Потрошителя. Возле больницы.
Почему-то все квесты нулевых невозможны.
Ну, опять же, от этой же студии квест по Дракуле, там, где нужно из дохлого бобра делать трубу, поэтому... Ну...
Что?
Мы с вами проходили. Это обязательно надо будет перепройти, когда, типа, я... Или между Шерлоками, или когда я Шерлока закончу, что-нибудь такое. Потому что там, типа, очень дебильно. Там абсолютно неадекватные. Там еще мы делали фейковый ключ из бубликов в фольге, типа.
Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care. It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal.
Sorry.
Это доказательство, что они не пиздили, а пиздели.
Именно.
Oh, what a horrible thing to...
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behaviour.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man. A detestable human being, to be more precise. It is true that he once threw a decanter at me, and all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead, but a devil he was, if ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. Wonder with his title and his money and his false London ways. If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was specially hard for her.
Почему
Oh, what a
нам
horrible
это в
thing
первый
to
раз
have
не
happened.
рассказали, миледи? Нам надо было обязательно посмотреть на справку психиатра. У вас страдает печенка от вашего алкоголика. Ну, вообще-то нам жена это сразу об этом сказала.
Ну, типа... Я думаю, разница в том, агрессивный он к своей жене или ко всем.
Ну, окей, но вот вы видели синяки, просто первый раз нам треба было проходить в ламке, потом были.
Ладно, мы срочно отправляемся к Тоби.
Да. Первее всего собака.
Правда, я не знаю, а кого нужно вот это запитати? Вона не хоче розмовляти.
Oh, what a horrible
Твой
thing to
страх.
have happened.
Може, быстрее. Я. Загружается.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight. Another day he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To
Да
the
ну.
point
Да
that
ну,
we were
Шерлок.
forced to intervene several times to avoid a
Какой ты
scandal.
умный, Шерлок. Блядь.
Поджог собаки. Меня так задолбало. Это везде, это все используют поджог собаки в какой-то ситуации.
Я редко это вижу, но именно просто издевательство над собакой реально часто показывается,
Но-
типа.
Я точно помню, в Джоджо есть поджог собаки.
Ну,
Где-то
знаешь,
ещё я- Ну да, просто издевательство что-то над собачкой, это очень-очень часто. Но меня удивляет то, что я из этого всего натыкаюсь на поджоги. Типа, какого хрена?
зацени, тут, короче, книжка торчит со стола, и из-за этого тут... Сейчас Шерлока перестанет
Нельзя
болтать.
пройти?
Да, сейчас.
Там же стул.
Да, бля, Шерлок,
А, Это
подойди.
невидимая стена из-за книжки.
Во, смотри.
Беговая дорожка.
Да. Ватсон, что скажете по этому поводу?
Someone should take Toby for a walk.
Это буду не я.
Нихуя себе,
Come on,
Ватсон.
Toby. We need the best
Языком
nose in the
цокает на
British
меня.
Empire on this case. I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Miss...
Ты пробовал? Ты как Гейл?
Дог! Дог!
Блин, не кури с собакой, дебил. Ты вернулся.
Я не смотрю на Шерлока, я не вижу, что он делает.
Понятно. Я закрываю глаза на Шерлока.
Зачем здесь Тоби?
Search, Toby.
Сейчас будет игра за собаку. Пог! Срочно зови ворами. Тут игра за собаку.
Окей, пробую.
Я пока не буду идти по сюжету, побегаю по кругу. Тоби открывает силой мысли двери.
Я сомневаюсь, что он придет.
Ну,
Но я позвал.
Страсти же грустно смотрит.
Какие еще грустные песни ты знаешь?
Я? Надо подумать.
What you say?
Я только это оттуда и помню.
Да, same.
Я помню в основном типа просто грустные мелодии, вот эти дженерик.
Мгм. Собак.
Бака.
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware.
Тоби. Разъеб. Бегим. Блять, застряг нахуй.
The scent leads to the well. I should check it.
Как он смешно бегит, у него уши мотыляются.
Сэндхаунд. Чистокровный.
На него можно посмотреть, когда он бегает по кругу. Шерлок там ждет, такое понятно.
Ну, за хвостом побегали, это нормально.
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why
Игра за мора в ДПД.
Да, реально. Шерлок задумался.
Иди в сарай.
Brave Toby.
Зачем я могу смотреть на Тоби? Ой, тут эффекты. Зацени.
Радуга.
Вау. Когда Тоби рядом, сразу как бы на небе радуга
Сразу,
появляется, весело жить становится. Хорошо, когда есть собака.
О, да. Могу сказать, как бы.
This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved.
Урагак. Тоби до сих пор там флексит. Блять, тут непроходимые деревни. Он просто стоит и тупит.
Ну, как тут это? По-моему, он знает, что работать он больше не хочет.
Машет
Ну,
башкой.
Что ему еще делать? А ты что не работаешь?
У меня вообще-то другие дела есть. Класс. Собака. Но ты не такая дурка, как в завещании Шерлока играть за собаку. Тут нормально, типа.
The bucket can be easily removed.
О, да, оно само прицепилось, само прилетело тебе в руки.
Разумеется. Выделка. Все ясно. Здорово. У нас тут Шерлок Холмс.
Приветствую.
Ты, короче, пропускаешь одно за другим. Вчера пропустил босс-файт, сегодня пропустил игру за собаку.
Да, тут Шерлок колесил от POV Тоби.
Да. Ура, вилкой в глаз, но кому?
Вилкой в глаз обязательно, да. Встречайте.
Конечно.
Ровно по центру сел.
Ну, он как бы... Он вейтинг.
Поговори с ним.
Зачем?
Вдруг он хочет вилку.
В глаз?
Нет.
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
Видишь, он хочет
You
вилку.
are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Посмотрел в камеру.
И врагу, и другу
Holmes,
вилку
don't look at me
предложил.
like that. I don't know what to think about all this.
Блять, не смотреть на вас. Ну ладно, ухожу.
Холмс, не смотрите на меня так.
We found your silverware.
У него очень
It had not been taken very far.
стрёмный взгляд, он очень пусто смотрит в камеру всегда.
Есть такое.
Your ladyship.
Да,
Самому
можно
себе?
вилку даже саму себе. Палец вверх.
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
Как-то useless пообщались, ну ладно.
Ну да, они все не обрадовались, тем более. Где ватсон?
Дома.
Дом остался.
Мы тоже туда сейчас поедем. Так бесит, что Киевстар не работает. Теперь мне, когда звонят, мне на вторую карточку. Мне обычно туда только спам звонят.
Он все еще
Have
не
you found
работает.
something interesting?
Да,
Блин.
это хуйня.
Let us see how the rope was
Да.
cut. Let
Ой. Каким боком я все проскипал?
The fibers from this cut appear to be different. The fibers from this cut appear to be different.
Дом не сгорел, как в анекдоте с медведем, реально.
Что за анекдот с медведем?
Да, там должна машина сгореть. Сел в
If I
машину и
cut the rope
сгорел.
with a knife,
А,
it matches
понятно.
the original.
Сейчас будем шукати моряка.
Мы пойдем в бар с дующим молодым человеком?
Возможно. Это ж такая классная локация. Нужно туда каждый раз ходить.
Каждый день.
Возможно, даже каждый день.
My search.
Эм,
Here it
Detected.
is.
Быстро.
Ну, тут понятно, что искать.
The shipping company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Ватсон, ну понимаете, я не хочу притворяться, что я из Скотланд-Ярда. У меня есть
Капец.
дела получше.
Ватсон впервые предлагает кого-то заскамить, а Шерлок такой, я могу заскамить лучше.
Да,
You come upstairs, please.
именно. Что так драматично хлопнул дверью? Пацан,
I
ты
need a
чё?
register, my young friend. If you could
Имей совесть.
borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar
Ватсон
in
палит.
1993 and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take it.
А, не, это Таник я не видел, только видел, просил в машину и сгорел.
А, это анекдот про медведь?
I left it right on the table for you, sir.
Блять, я все прослушал.
This list shows... And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th.
Угу.
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. I do not think that this sailor has...
А тут можно вообще куда
This
попало
officer is
тыкать.
still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
А как?
This list...
Блять. А, все, я увидел.
This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Капец.
This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days.
Восклицательный знак. Воу.
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
Пам-пам-пам. Ну что же делать?
This Crocker. Do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him. Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Пацан такой, мне похуй.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
По приколу.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand.
Нас снимает скрытая камера. Відвертий.
Так, это характеристика.
Пойдем быстро. А, не уезжай так быстро, ты чё? И чё? Я уже что пропустил? Не пон. Чё у него тут? Ботинки. Ничего себе.
Вау. Никогда такого не видела, вот опять.
Это вообще. Ты уже все просрал. Тоби был
You
и
are
нету.
acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her from when I was first officer, but I still don't see.
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
Упал в лаву ты, а не Тоби,
Indeed, how
понятно?
reckless a feeling is love.
Не смей так говорить
One
про
is
Тоби.
prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but your
А вот и
dismay
посмею,
was much
вообще-то.
fabricated. Once you learned
Нихуя,
that I
приехал.
wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You.
Тебя
What
забайтили
do
на
you
стрим
know?
сегодня.
That evening, you were with
Ты
Lady
просто немножко
Brackenstall,
вялый
despite the
сегодня,
danger.
поэтому
Понимаю.
не
Not
хотел
afraid,
заходить.
Mr. Holmes.
А, ты
Besides,
будешь оставаться
all
или
of this
нет?
is just guesswork.
You would be
Эм,
right.
Не
if
знаю,
there
какое-то
was
время
no
могу с вами
evidence.
посидеть.
What then?
Посмотрю на Тоби, которого нет.
А все.
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Shark. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night.
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Пец наехал. Чё?
Holmes,
На его
what should we
убийство
do now?
обвинили, конечно, он
Would you like
наехал.
to check his alibi?
No, there is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
Смотрите, там
So,
док на фоне.
what then?
So,
Это
we
новый
must
Тоби,
work with
который
what
не
we have.
упал в
We
лаву.
have all the
Упал в лаву
puzzle
ты.
pieces.
Ну я
I
красный,
understand why
возможно.
you dissected the bell rope.
Как у тебя сегодня с ПНГ? Вроде все нормально, да?
Пока. Сейчас я даже вот так сделаю.
Теперь тебя нет.
Импрессия.
Слишком мы соленый.
Это клево было. Это было очень классно.
Все как ты и хотел, да?
Истерика.
Вот, ура.
Это очень короткое
Захватили
дело.
стрим.
Она уже все?
Да.
Wiggins,
помню,
could
что
you ask
наоборот.
Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
Again. Сейчас приедет бычковать.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
Чё?
Because of the height at which the rope was cut.
А я помню, мы его
The knife used was
отпустили
a
вроде
sea
в прошлый
knife,
раз.
the knots
В
were
этот раз
sailor's
тоже.
knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household.
Бать, он уселся,
Talked to
конечно,
her
там.
maid, who told me everything. I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will
Бать,
forgive me if
музон.
she is able.
The lady about the sword forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear. And it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this.
Вот это музон такой. Туруру.
Очень драматично.
Ты что творишь?
А!
Жми, жми, давай, 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 давай.
Бля!
Давай.
Иди нахуй!
Мы хотели его отпустить.
Тут.
Это только куда...
Он хотел себя убить вроде, нет?
Да, он хотел застрелиться.
Да.
Please forgive me, Captain Crocker. I wished only to test your sincerity.
Капитан Кроукер, вы, блядь, хотели застрелиться в моей хате.
See here, Captain Crocker.
Выйдите на улицу, а потом застрелитесь.
You are the prisoner. Watson, you are a British juror.
Yes.
Captain Crocker, the evidence shows that you acted without premeditation and used reasonable force to protect an innocent victim from her husband's brutality. Your devotion pushed you to
Brutality.
attempt to kill yourself
Fatality.
in order to protect the one you love. Now, what say you, gentlemen of the jury?
Not guilty, my lord.
Vox populi, vox dei. You are acquitted, Captain Crocker. So long as the law does not find some other victim, you are safe from me.
Mr. Holmes.
It is a great responsibility that I take upon myself, but I will give Lestrade an excellent lead, and if he can't avail himself of it, I can do no more. Come back to your lady in a year, and may her future and yours justify us in the judgment which we have pronounced this night.
Драма. Мне смешно, что, типа, каждый раз, когда тут есть, типа, моральный вывод, в итоге мы просто пиздим Лестрейду.
Да, Лестрейд такой, блин, опять никого не поймали, да ну.
Да ну.
Блин. Ватсон такой, хихи.
If they exist, I'll catch them.
You'll find someone, I have no doubt of it. Goodbye, Inspector.
Причем ему все равно, если найдут какого-то человека, который в этом вообще не виноват.
Ну, если он найдет бандитскую организацию, то это хорошо, если их арестуют.
Ну да.
Так что.
Шерлок ждал наводку. Наводку, да.
Наводку. Существует 3 бандюка где-то в Лондоне. И Лестрейд такой, ну да.
Спасибо, частный детектив, это то, чего я хотел.
Вот тут нужно Ватсону на голову гусениц сыпать.
Привет, Джерри.
Гусениц? Капец.
Holmes, for heaven's sake, whatever's going on?
Oh, hello, Watson. You're early. Did you kill all of your patients?
What? Holmes, where have all these
Паскудни бджолы.
I increased the temperature of the room. so as to
Вы все
prevent
своих
the
пациентов
violence
убили. Спасибо.
But
Что
in
в жопу.
words, we will have honey all year round.
ridiculous and dangerous?
They're domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers. Anyway, Watson, I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather a hurry.
You have a new case?
Yes, but nothing as thrilling as this experiment. A theft of plants at the Royal Botanic Gardens in
Я
Kew.
даже отвечать на
I'm
эту
helping a
провокацию
minister
не
who's an
буду.
old friend of mine. You can join me if you like.
Well, I'll admit that I'd far rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, however did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. plants. Come on, admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollens.
Since when did I become so transparent? Let us go.
Шерлок совсем не угадал, я не понимаю. Какие
флексы.
пчелы в квартире?
Шерлок такой, я прозрачный.
Посмотреть программу.
ББМС.
Капец.
А знаете, что написано в этом блокноте, мистер Холмс?
Конечно, знаю, Ватсон. Я уже читал его.
Правда?
Нет.
Как всегда.
Он врет. Он читал. Это...
Голоса в голове в разговор не приглашали.
Botanic Gardens. There's no doubt that this place is.
А меня не приглашают, я
But are
сам
you
пришел.
really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes, of course.
Это такое дебильное задание было, чисто. Я помню, мы не могли понять, куда идти.
Тру.
Ну, большая территория.
Тут сложно пройти, я
Don't touch
помню.
anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer. And without turning it over this time. Good day to you, gentlemen. How may I help you?
Холмс,
If you
чисто
are here for a visit, please
понятно.
do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A remarkable collection, I believe.
So you're the one in charge, eh?
A small favour for a friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens. And that fellow yonder is Albert. He works here.
I am delighted to meet you. What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last exhibition. We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and nobody saw anything.
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
Yes, the one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met, and Miss White.
Here it is. This is
Грузимся.
the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
Thank you. Is there something the matter?
Yes, there is. All right, the plants were valuable and rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here only 2 days ago has been entirely forgotten already.
What tragedy are you referring to?
The director of Kew Gardens, Mr. Montague Dunn, he died here just 2 days ago.
We're very sorry. We were not aware. The two of you were good friends?
He was my father.
Oh dear. Our condolences. We should not be troubling you. Please do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here, in the large glass house.
Holmes?
Yes, just here, near the door to the colonial collection. He suffered a heart attack. Just like that. So suddenly. It was terrible. Excuse me, gentlemen, but I cannot remain here. If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the front of the large greenhouse.
Of course, we understand.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Зон, как всегда, чисто, не знаю,
Драма.
очень подходящий. Драма.
Ватсон, что вы делаете?
According to Albert, this is
Вспоминаю
where his father,
флешбеки игры
Montague
«Главный
Dunn, was
шпион».
found. This sign
Там
is
была
broken.
похожая музыка,
Something
мне
heavy was
сидит.
dropped upon it.
Понимаю.
This sign
Блять, я уже видел.
someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash. Most
Блять, а
likely a
убирать
head
кто
wound.
будет?
Никто не будет.
Fragments of a flower. It fell down here.
Ватсон.
Ватсон тоже не будет. Я подозреваю. И чё? А, нужно
Капец, как так?
изучить бруд.
Soil. It should have come from a flower
Суэль.
pot. Soil. It should have come from a flower pot.
Нихуя себе
Сойль.
бруд, нахуй.
This pot was
Удивительно.
broken fairly recently.
В Гринхаус еще и врут.
Врут везде, не только здесь.
These trees, with their roots in water, must originate from Louisiana.
Только не это.
Bayou. I remember our visit in the case of the Awakened.
Да, Ватсон. Нам туда возвращаться еще 2 раза.
Я тут не пойду.
Да вы денетесь.
Do not
Я думаю, подожду вас. А будет собаку выгуливать.
Миссис Хадсон.
Я.
Голоса в голове.
Конечно.
Надо с собой было Тоби взять. Он бы порешался, он бы укусил челиков. Можно было бы натравить собаку на людей. Было бы здорово.
Поэтому у тебя нет собаки в реальной жизни.
Нет, у меня нет собаки в реальной жизни, потому что мне лень.
Натравливать их на людей?
Да. Именно.
Да, у меня просто была собака, и когда-то он уже натравил на людей.
Да?
Больше мы сказали не заводить их. Да, отвечаю.
Понятно, буду знать.
И тебе, конечно же, верят.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Голосам в голове всегда надо верить.
Может, еще и слушаться их надо?
Конечно. Спрыгни.
Откуда?
Со стула.
Обойдусь, пожалуй.
Капец. Ну все.
A task list for Albert, compiled by Martin Hamish. Sweep out the palm house, scrub the toilets, clean the storage shed tools.
А мне показалось, у него лестница, которая опирается ни на что. Думаю, нихуя удобно.
Надежно. Как швейцарские часы.
Конечно.
Нещодавно плакав. Ой.
Нічого не робить. У нього чисті руки.
Do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only. I'm also studying botany at the University of London.
You're following in your father's footsteps, then that is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Смотрит на горшки, такому мешать нельзя. Ой.
Смотрит на горшки и такой, блин, похож на моего отца. И начинает плакать.
Ты чё, дурак, что ли?
Нет. Я просто знаю, о чем он думает. О, все, я иду кушать.
Ну все, пока.
Ну все.
Colonial Collection. Director's Office, Cloakroom and Laboratory. Reserve. Nursery. Seed House. Ventilation System.
Ура, ventilation
Dry
system.
tropics. Water Lily Greenhouse. A map of
Карта, где
Kew
мы будем
Gardens.
долгое время не знать, куда идти, я думаю.
Здорово, правда?
Чего нам не хватало?
Palm House.
Конечно.
Locked.
Тут есть очень много мест, где можно врезаться в ватсона, который стоит на проходе.
Locked.
Я для этого и пришел.
Спасибо, Ватсон. Я не мог ожидать такого ни от кого еще.
Locked.
Никто другой не
Хули
пойдет на
везде
такое ради вас.
локт?
Локдаун.
Да. Опен. Я не буду заново смотреть. Вилл, замечательно. Чтобы еще веселее было.
Locked.
Чего не хватало?
Да.
Locked.
Сука, везде локт, нахуй.
There is a smell of burning.
О, это то место там, где можно стать прям в дым.
Да?
Да. У меня же есть скрины всей этой хуйни.
Помню.
А я помню.
Они у тебя на компьютере, и ты их делал.
Ну,
Ну вот когда ты встанешь в дым, я вспомню. До тех пор скринов не существует.
A
окей,
ventilation
поверю.
system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings.
Смотри на Ватсона. Вот, смотри. Можно еще как-то так стать, чтобы дым... ща. Вот сюда, по-моему. Нет. Во-во-во-во-во.
Ну, да, вот теперь я помню. Какой ты блондин, Шерлок.
A broom handle was half burned. The remains of a picture frame. The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned. A protective mask. A protective mask.
Я понял.
Someone set it alight, but it did not burn.
Еще такой ракурс нужен был для этого.
A broom. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens.
Вроде я на все здесь посмотрел. Ну, если на Мадокасе, мы там куда хуйню нашли.
Я закрою за вами дверь.
Вау, спасибо.
Dry tropics.
Закрыто.
Офигеть. Блять, я заблудился.
A
Просто
ventilation system.
туплю, куда нужно
It should
идти.
regulate the
Нет, нужно шукати в архиві. И все. Вот, это последнее дело, судя по всему.
Да, но оно большое.
Или предпоследнее.
Ну, последнее.
Тут есть кто-то в інших розслідуваннях ще. Значит, предпоследнее. Может, там еще что-то есть интересное.
a door.
Теперь да. Видимо, так дрифтанули, что Ватсон чуть не упал в карете.
И нету в этой грёбаной карете. Из-за носа оно улетает иногда.
Here it is.
Here it is.
That is not the one I... That is not... Here it is.
Detected.
Нашел.
The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides,
Какая
there is no
страшная
address here.
картинка. Посмотри.
Да.
Он знает.
Шерлок это хоррор геймс. Ну, об этом.
Блять, это чё было?
Лекс.
Где-то флекс. Ладно, нужно оглянути місце, где умер чел, более старательно. Бать долгая загрузка.
Там как-то подгружается.
Ну да.
Albert told us about the tragic death of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
Would you unlock the doors for us?
Do you expect to find the stolen plants there? I am sorry, but those rooms are private.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Пиздец, мужик, иди нахуй.
Реально. Если не откроешь, мы же их снесем.
Потом будет, а где двери? Их снесли.
А где момент?
Ну, Брут, нахуй. Я его уже видел.
The traces are thinner in some places. These boot marks are fresh. It appears as though someone was dragging their feet. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here.
Достаточно внимательно Брут посмотрел, но это все.
This door handle is new. It was recently changed. The door handle to the Colonial Collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material. The door was smashed at shoulder height. The esconson was breached near the handle. The door was forced from the inside of the Colonial Collection room. The handle was changed afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection.
All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it.
О, за стене какой тут потолок прикольный.
Кстати, пиздатый, да, красивенько. Эх, архитектура классная.
Very strange. Half of the Colonial Collection is absent.
Стринге.
This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked. Was it an accident, or a murder then, I wonder? I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection.
According to this,
Сейчас будем инспектинг.
the smell is strong. It is a detergent. A fragment of marble,
Камень.
most likely
Что, за 2
from a
дня никто не
statue or
убрался?
sculpture.
Ну, кровь тоже никто
This
не убрал
broken
за 2 дня.
fragment was the result of a heavy
Хотя, казалось бы.
Реально.
Что нужно убрать?
These windows were perfectly cleaned. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly cleaned.
Убрали. Ну это, конечно, подозрительно, я
Вот
считаю.
что странно, да?
Это очень странно. Это вроде длинное дело должно быть. Что не знаю. Наверное, мы его частично сделаем сегодня, а частично в следующий раз и закончим игру тогда.
Ну,
Ну, посмотрим, конечно, но...
I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
Чувака до сих пор есть текстурки, подозрительно. Откуда вы их взяли?
вот что странно в этом деле. Двери это
Пусти
трудно,
дверь.
This watch is of great value. A membership card for the London
Классно,
Quest
повернул,
Club.
хорошо видно.
A beautiful feather pen of a good make.
Все ясно. Бать, там хлопают двери.
Это да, сильно.
First of all, let us carry out an external examination. There is an injury to the skull, most probably caused by the fall.
Мужика
in the
проблемы
water
с
lily
текстурами.
greenhouse.
Они
The
шакальные.
vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite
Ну,
normal.
в принципе, вокруг вот тут вот тоже проблемы.
The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma. are no suspicious marks upon the chest. Let us finish our external examination, so that we can proceed with the autopsy.
У него может быть флора арома за
No
2 дня.
redness, stings, or bruises.
Столько сильная.
Он наелся цветов, я хз.
Nothing suspicious here. Now, let us examine the internal organs.
Да, типикал. Приходишь в морг, и типа из-за угла. Фу-фу-фу.
Молодой человек даже сюда приехал. Это он.
The heart's blood vessels show no pathological signs. The heart tissue shows no visible pathological signs.
Мне больше нравится, как игра на телефоне у меня выглядит. Она там более зеленая. Вайб подходит.
The lungs are congested and edematous. The tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged, most probably caused by toxins from an unknown plant. The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible pathological signs. The liver is enlarged. It would seem that he was suffering from an alcohol addiction.
Вынул.
The stomach tissues show no visible pathological signs. There is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly, only a short while before his death. My suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from poisoning, plant poisoning to be more exact.
You mean...
Yes, it is murder.
We should inform Lestrade.
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No. We also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim, Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them all here for interrogation?
No. A few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building. I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little.
Haha.
Locked.
Даже нельзя Лестрейда посадрачить.
Locked.
Ну за что так? Это просто нечестно.
Ватсон такой, нам надо рассказать про убийство Лестрейда. Холмс такой, нет. Надо его позадрачивать.
Именно.
Кошмар.
Это важнее.
Join this already.
Сейчас сяк. Все, я вернулся. А меня уже никто не ждет.
Как это я тут? Нет, ради тебя. Стою за твоей спиной. Опс.
Еще у меня опять сломались.
ПНГшки, да.
Что с ними происходит? Я просто не могу понять. Так. Нашли вроде задрачивать чела.
Наше любимое занятие.
Конечно. Я вот еще в вампира играю, там тоже любимое занятие людей задрачивать.
Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, oh, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week. He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that, if you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
You mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say. He was a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That
And?
He had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Hamish, can you tell us who holds the keys to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can only imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before, and now all of a sudden he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
He's useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was?
Oh, yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here, Mr. Dunn had Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Пообщались.
Суд стори.
Типа того. Ватсон флексит. Нужно найти челика, вот он.
Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah, at the moment I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes. I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. He forced me to work here. But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens, and I can do it. I can be as good as any other who works here.
Would you please tell us about Martin Hamish, the deputy director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the deputy director of Kew Gardens. My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed? Well, that is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honour of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how is his relationship with your father?
Конечно, мне собака
Oh, he hated my father.
и говорит такие безовластия, как этот
Да, конечно, это же оранжерея, но это пиздец.
Ради этого я, блядь, убью всех, да. Я хочу быть директором.
Драматично сказал, посмотрел вдаль.
Tell me, have you ever heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Что страшно, мы туда все равно залезем.
We shall see you again soon.
О, да.
Ну, такая смешная лейка, типа... У него непонятно, куда из нее идет вода.
Мне кажется, они приделали воду из трубы, но не из рассеивателя, или как это называется.
Ну, типа того, она идет вверх, типа.
У него там напор.
У вас тут высокие технологии в лейку встроены.
Народ на SHERLOCK просто этим технологиям. Это чудо-свет.
Справжний Шерлок Карпат.
Да, это висячие сады.
Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens.
Оvid.
Champagne. Montague Dunn had good taste. French wine. A remarkable vintage.
Блять. Пусти!
A photograph of Montague Dunn and Reynold Hamish.
Угу. А, понял.
Я ничего не понял.
Тут нужно...
пароли, чтобы они оставались наверху.
Да. Два, 3, 3, по-моему. Тут прям биты, когда крутишь.
Наёбка на ритмы.
Типа того. Відкрив.
Ура!
Биты закончились.
Пойти премиум, да?
Именно.
I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document.
Угу. Бать, он там расшвырял обувь. Хули у него столько обуви вообще в кабинете?
Сменка.
Lock.
Бегу во всех парах.
This is a table for experiments. It resembles my own.
Only this one is kept in good order, Holmes.
Пиздец, Ватсон, ну вы, конечно... Вообще-то, посмотрите, тут тоже хуйни накидано.
Хуйни — это один цветочек на столе.
Да.
Ваши аргументы неоспоримы.
Phonograph used for voice recording. Remarkable.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory.
Сейчас послушаем. Звук камина в ухо, конечно, мешает услышать что-либо.
Study report.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish.
Потрясающе. Ваня сам себя
Chemicals,
отпихнул.
a sufficient quantity for some serious experiments. A botany book.
Підручник.
This student's book belongs to Albert.
Ничего себе.
Locked.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
It does not matter. We will open it.
Похуй. М. М. М.
Наши любимые.
Так, ну тут выглядит логично. О, все.
Open.
Приказал.
Сначала будто он приказал двери открыть. Да.
Miss White's locker. A draft of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents. Apparently, Miss White is a capable student.
Пиздец. Шакальная текстура, вы чё? Чуваки. Это прям...
These jewels must be worth a small fortune. A vanity purse. It is of high quality.
Все ясно.
Albert's locker.
Я и сам вижу.
Young Albert
Нашего проснемся.
standing with a woman in front of London University.
Зачем для этого включать орлиное зрение? Я сам вижу! Я что, тупой, что ли?
A rejection letter from the British Royal Naval College. Specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea.
Альберт это сын?
Да.
Martin Hamish's locker. Martin Hamish studied chemistry. Interesting.
Interesting.
A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Father and I, Kew Gardens.
Вкрав. Ну, мы тут вам дверь не взламывали, мы уходим вообще-то. А тут можно на что-то посмотреть. Не уходим.
Стол.
Да. Тут была мокрая пляшка.
There was a bottle here. It left behind a trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory.
Gold dust? Good heavens. What's it doing here?
The gold is almost immune to chemical attacks, so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
But why would anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. Several drops of the substance. The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint scent. We need a good nose.
Ну, Тоби не будет. Нюхай химикаты, Шерлок.
Капец. Мы можем потом сюда прийти с Тоби, пока пойдем двери пооткрываем.
А, сюда можно с Тоби прийти?
Ну да.
А.
Его нужно прийти забрать для этого.
Locked.
Вот эти любые ядовитые вещества мне так напоминают мою учебу.
Понимаю. Горшки. Может быть. Представляете, Ватсон?
Нет, не
The
представляю.
seeds of plant species are
Знаете,
stored
горшки
here.
похожи на моего отца, как сказали голоса в голове.
Блять.
These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery.
Цветочки.
This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. A glasses case. It is empty. A thesis written by Martin Hamish. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office.
Не может быть.
An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year. A master's degree diploma. It belongs to Martin Hamish.
Что есть еще в этой комнате? Вроде нет. Где там еще было закрыто? Или мы... Да, мы уже все открыли.
За собакой пошли.
Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work, for Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father, so it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Надо пойти молодого человека позадрачивать тоже.
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Ah, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact,
As clever as they say. Тем временем Шерлок покопался в чужих вещах. Но это было clever с его стороны.
Конечно.
Thank you, young man. House.
Где еще было? Не, я уже все открыл. Ну, пойдем за Тоби, видимо. Тоби, Тоби,
Come on, Toby. We have some work for you to do. Let us go to Kew Gardens.
Капец. Он там жрал газеты.
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Затроллил.
Ох, еще надо сказать, что Тоби книги лучше пишет, чем Влад.
Это смешит с кадра, когда показывают собаку в первую очередь. Там видно, там, блядь, колено Ватсона в кадре. Ну, я согласен, нужно на собаку смотреть в первую очередь.
С собакой лучше в карете сидеть.
Let us take Toby to the laboratory. He will pick up the scent of this mysterious substance.
Радог.
Search, Toby. Search.
Пусти. Что-то упоротое поливание челика еще лучше видно. Типа, вот что это?
Ротный Джерело, да? Еще лучше видно.
Да.
Опять радиация. Не наступай в это.
Хорошо, обойдем. Не уверен, что это сильно поможет, но...
Какой он молодец, какой хороший мальчик, он копательный.
Congratulations, Toby. Now let us see what you have found.
Что там?
This is the bottle that was used in the laboratory. It was buried here.
Так, дай покрутить. Блять.
A tiny caterpillar.
О,
Not surprising to
гусеницы!
see one in a garden, but
Ой,
at the bottom of a bottle.
их добро. Какой злобный смех.
Смотри на Тоби.
Тоби.
На цветочки смотрю, он их ест, судя по анимации.
Brave
Такой не
Toby. The best nose in the British Empire.
Ой.
Да.
Капец. Как же круто. Собака. Ладно, для этого нужно ехать на Бейкер-стрит. Дог.
Let us determine just what we have found here. Let us pour liquid from the bottle into a test tube to perform an analysis. This is
Жижа.
a colorless, water-based liquid. Quite a strong floral aroma.
Holmes? What are you doing?
It has a bitter taste.
What if it's poisonous?
Did you ever see poison stored in enormous jars like that? Anyway, there is a doctor nearby.
So, what do you think it is?
It is some kind of organic. Let us vaporize the liquid and see what happens.
Органично сполука, да ну?
Шерлок никогда не предусматривает, что произойдет, если доктор ему скажет, иди в пизду.
Ну он так не скажет, чтобы Шерлок сдох.
Ну да, к сожалению.
Он ему потом скажет.
Я сначала выпью труты, а потом ты со мной поссорься, да?
Да.
Colorless crystals. Colorless, tiny crystals that are soluble in water, with a floral smell and a bitter taste. Watson, Could you pass me that small bottle, please?
Of course. Here you are. Holmes, do you know what it is?
Wagner's reagent. There was a label on the bottle that you passed to me.
No, Holmes, I meant the bottle that we found.
Let me add the reagent and see if there is any sediment, and then I shall tell you.
Изучаем.
Red sediment, just as I suspected. This liquid is of organic origin. It contains some alkaloid. Most likely it is unstable, and that is why there is a quantity of gold dust to prevent contamination. This mixture is probably a fertilizer. Someone was carrying out unusual experiments in the garden's laboratory.
Unusual experiments.
Here it is.
Here it is.
And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
Писец.
This place is beautiful.
Это
The
опять ты.
atmosphere is remarkably soothing.
Let us find someone who could help us.
А чувак там в тапочках на песке флексит.
Ему круто.
Ну, вероятно. Почему там дырка?
Да, мы приехали.
Флексить.
Ты всегда так говоришь.
Мы всегда флексим.
A fragment of a flower.
Ну точно не без этого.
Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. The Kew Gardens symbol.
Все ясно. Пиздец, у вас куст непроходимый.
Жесть. Он не звучит как гонг.
Он вообще не звучит, я бы сказал, очень тихий. О, мы у вас тут потопчемся по рисунку. Опа! Здравствуйте.
Kапец, смотрите. Опа, здравствуйте.
My name is Sherlock.
I am exalting the sun. A while can you wait? From the trace of elements and moreover from the quality of the ambient geotropism it depends. Therefore, please, mind my gravitropism. Its balance, do not disturb.
Disturbed is most definitely the word.
There. Completed is the symbiosis. Welcomed you are. To introduce myself I shall. I am the Green Grand Mystic.
Тут у него
The
шикарная
Green
одежда.
Grand Mystic. Himself.
Но
This
он
is
накопичивал энергию, он загружался. Ты ему помешал?
Он не загрузился.
Who are extremely interested in the
listening to you, I am.
Сейчас все посмотрим. Наркотики. Пам-пам-пам.
We should like to take a look around, to immerse ourselves in the wisdom that emanates from here.
It is a school of anastomosis, the divine scholastic syndicate for vegetation veneration and meditation. You may say, the divine syndicate.
Glory to the eukaryotic. Only true devotees, those whose hearts are ready to spermatophize in sharing of knowledge, are permitted to physically enter our vegetable kingdom and its wisdom. And to be permitted, you must earn it. Yes.
Do you have friends at Kew Gardens?
None. Not worthy there.
Так, мне надо срочно найти стоковые фотки локтей.
Okay.
Nevertheless, we have seen Kew Gardens flower pots in your yard. How could they happen to be there?
What? Our sacred place you permitted yourself to search? Sacrilege.
No, really now. There was a theft of plants at Kew Gardens a matter of days ago, and we believe the pots we found here may be connected with it. Please tell us, were you involved?
No. Those plants were ours. They had stolen them from us.
How so?
Their director, Dump, I believe.
Done.
Yes, that's what I said. He borrowed from us 3 of our sisters for the exhibition at his green fly-infested gardens. But he never gave them back to us. Excuses and imbecility. So we went in and saved them.
I see. So, if you stole those rare plants from them, then it means... Ah, I get it.
No, we did not steal. We saved. Well, as a matter of fact, we were unable to find our 3 plants.
I beg your pardon. And yet you took all of the exotic plants from the stand.
They had disappeared. It was the least we could do. They stole our sisters, and so we stole theirs.
Green Grand Mystic, we are...
What is the name of our Lord, our God King?
Our God King's name is...
Oh, la, good, good, I like you. Here is the holy key.
Thank you.
I pray you to taste our fertilizer. Raw sap.
Well, we will leave you to your meditation.
This green grand mystic...
Пусти. Скриншот этого мужика у меня тоже есть. Все очень красное.
This must be Triwan, the Divine Syndicate's god. This door is locked.
Взлом замков. Интересно. Nice.
The list of plant friends and benefactors, lawyers, well-known manufacturers, political leaders. That should be the raw sap that the Green Grand Mystic spoke of.
Поел.
This is rather delicious
Thank
and of an
you.
excellent quality.
My word, Holmes. Their sap is like a form of cocaine.
Еще раз такой, ну да. Я поэтому взял.
Да-да-да. Блять! Гусеница.
Caterpillars. They are raised as food for certain plants.
Это мне так смешно. Чисто Шерлок пришел, украл гусениц.
Он их уже?
Конечно.
Да, мне с каждой минуты все страшнее.
Скоро будет сыпать на голову
A
Ватсона.
tropical plant. Nothing of interest. A tropical plant.
К сожалению, Холмс с этим не согласен. Надо.
A tropical plant. A tropical. A tropical. A trop. These three plants are identical to the ones shown.
Все забрал. Тут на что еще можно было посмотреть или нет? Ладно, похуй. А до мужика можно доебаться? Да.
Praise the grand tree, praise it. Osmosis and praise the grand tree, praise it.
Ладно, удачи.
These instruments are used for smoking opium. This substance is an alkaloid, the same as in the bottle we found in the bushes at Kew Gardens. This cabinet is full of chemicals. They are the... That would be enough to perform the most difficult of chemical experiments. A vast amount of opium.
Блять, отойди. Куда ты влез?
Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment. That would be an...
Не надо, Холмс.
Это еще не жуки, все нормально. Представляешь, Урами 2 раза пропустил Тоби.
Да. Это не ворами,
This
это импостер.
green, grand, mystic fellow seems rather suspicious, Holmes. What should we do next, Holmes?
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. If you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening,
Я помню, что это
then I would
более-менее
recommend
душно
that you
было.
put on the gas mask.
Это чисто держи гусеницу. Очень
How
интересно.
interesting. What a strong and effective defensive mechanism.
Держи гусеницу.
I find the behavior of predators utterly fascinating.
Держи гусеницу, блядь. Держи гадость.
This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. How interesting.
Держи гадость.
This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars.
Ничего не понимаю.
This plant becomes inactive after being...
Да.
О,
Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary.
и
Extraordinary.
как это произошло?
Сначала нужно было
The
открыть
plants
поры.
would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the colonial collection.
Вот теперь будем
You may
ватсон
see
на
things
голову
more clearly
сыпать.
there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
Это уже мы нацелены на сыпание гусениц на голову.
Ватсон такой, давайте раскроем дело и проведем эксперимент в саду. Что он такой, нет. Там слишком там сейчас наши подозреваемые. И не будут видеть, что мы занимаемся хуйней, потому что я иду сыпать гусеницы на голову.
План капкан. Шерлоку не понравилось. Посмотрел на улицу, такой хуйня, отвернулся. Да, что скажешь?
Информативно.
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish.
Возможно, мы за
We shall
сегодня
continue
пройдем.
our investigation.
Ну, типа того, это уже близко к концу. Но там же потом еще дело.
Ну если еще дело, то уже на следующий раз.
Да.
Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What
Ну,
were
типа
your
мы можем
movements
закончить
here
то
on
дело и
that
начать
day?
следующего
Suspicious.
Шерлока.
Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of Lysa something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait. Ah, these Latin names. I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes, he came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Не помню, девушка уже здесь тусуется или нет.
Ну, нам надо ее спросить. Хорошо,
Надо
если
ее
бы она была...
найти.
Угу.
Вот она. Быстро очень уходит.
This charming lady must be Miss White. She's entering the seed house.
Игра пусти.
Open.
Опять он приказывает дверям открыться. Тут больше нечего делать. Ладно. Или есть что?
Good day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir. And good day to you too. But...
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson.
Шерлок на него так disrespectfully смотрит.
I am honored to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White. Excuse me, but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
Сейчас все будет понятно. А что еще? Это я видел, это замечательно. Спасибо за звонок, так чтобы не телега открыла поверх всего. Да ё-моё! Где там что-то мне еще есть? Ничего не вижу больше. Жесть. Короче, я не могу понять. Вот когда у них там 2 промпта впритык, то наводится вечно на тот, который не нужен.
Удобно.
Конечно,
Yes,
удобно.
a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh, yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
Would you happen to know why part of the colonial collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student at the London University. I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honor.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great leader. I saw him almost as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature?
Oh yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house. I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to this room?
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial collection was cleared. So, someone is lying. It is obvious.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
Блять, Ватсон, у вас все хорошо. По-моему, нет.
Что не так?
Потом мотануло.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
Это будет эксперимент.
Вентиляционная система — это как запустить гусеницу на цветок, чтобы он пустил
could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
Почему она не может на пол упасть? Надо обязательно ее ощутить на себе.
Ну, чтобы было обзервинг. Чтобы Ватсон точно заметил. Типа, если они просто упадут, то можно пропустить. А если они упадут на голову, то нет.
Как можно пропустить, если ты смотришь на это все равно?
Круче же, когда на голову падают.
Это твоя аргументация, да?
Конечно.
Круче же. Ну, так смешно. А Ватсон такой, да, конечно, Холмс. Шерлок такой, ха-ха, бежал.
Как круто будет.
Всю оранжерею надо оббежать, чтобы найти вентиляцию.
Сюда ничего не видно. Довернуться, по-моему.
The power is on. The engine cannot be. The engine has stopped. The ventilation system is working.
Починил, вау. Блять.
Что?
Калитка ебучая не пускает меня.
Когда Ватсона нет рядом, хоть что-то должно преграждать тебе путь, знаешь.
Ну да. Иначе будет не то.
We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
Нужно было это все-таки сделать. Ладно.
Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
Ищем Ватсона.
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect. Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out. By activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room. What should we do next, Holmes?
Вот помогли. На нем уже нет гусениц.
Спасибо, помог, да. Тайна черного экрана. Что произошло за эти пару секунд? Кто знает?
Даже не знаю. А какой там правильный ответ был? По-моему...
Как называется эта миссия?
Сейчас узнаем. Драма в Kew Gardens. По-моему, там или девушка, или... ну, не Альберт, короче.
Ну, я точно помню, что девушка делала какую-то фигню.
Ну, типа, нам нужно ще знайти застосування.
Застосування чого? Статуї? А.
Уламок мармуру. Не помню, где она была вообще. Может, это...
Поговорить с Хэмишем.
По поводу...
На вопрос о связи Kew Gardens. А, нет. Бюст Дана в теплице.
Ватсон!
Да.
Ой,
не пущу.
Капец, ты видела, я запрыгнула аж куда-то?
Не пущу.
Пустите.
Нет.
Да. Ты не помнишь, где бюст находится?
Теплица.
Прикольно. Это я тоже знаю.
Ну все, ищем бюст.
Ну да. Надо сначала вот это сделать.
То есть... Торопитесь.
Не буду так долго бегать, сори. Я опаздываю. А еще бюст. У меня вообще тут другие дела есть, как говорится. А вот, нашелся.
I am curious if the marble... Here it is.
Here it
The
is.
marble fragment that we found in the colonial collection room is what they have in common. It is a bust of Montague Dunn.
Окей. С этим мы закончили. Это нам ничего не дало. Не, ну, из арестует Мартина Хэмиша. Но нам давалось время по какой-то причине. Нам нужно что-то с ними сделать. Я помню, там нужно было
Надо с
расположить...
Лестрадом поговорить. По-моему.
То есть нужно выбрать зарегиструйте Мартина, а потом продолжать дело. Или как?
Мартина? Секундочку. Смертельный расчет, амбиции Альберта. Не понимаю. Так, окно дедукции. Признание Хэмиша плюс косолапость. И поговорить с Лестрадом.
Понял.
Да?
Говорю, не понял.
Я тоже.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
Ладно. Может, их тогда всех арестуют? Или, может, к ним нужно... Их опять, может, надо позадрачивать.
Мы же вроде не закончили еще с тем, кто когда подошел куда. Там же душный квест очень, я помню.
А, все же уебали. Точно.
Уже.
Ладно, поехали в Скотланд-Ярд. Наконец-то.
Inspector, I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the lads around to arrest him.
Very good. I shall wait to hear from you.
А, там или, по-моему, девушка, может, была сообщницей или что-то такое. Наверное.
Да. Ну да, соучастие Уайт.
Угу. Все. Я все вспомнил.
Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
Часик.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house.
Ты понял.
Mr. Holmes?
Пусти разговор с полицейским. Пам-пам-пам. Этого не может быть.
Капец.
Our messing around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we knew.
Inspector, could you arrange the body, please? I should like to examine it.
What the fuck?
Сдох.
The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
Holmes, his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is often a characteristic of...
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case.
У него был сообщник. Здорово. Мы так-то заканчиваем, но ты посмотришь конец дела.
Something about this rings very oddly.
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you do. You must recall that Mr. Dunn was locked inside the Colonial Collection Room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person as Mr. Hamish decided to base his plan on the speed of his gait.
You mean to say that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the investigation stops.
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able
Вот,
to
теперь вот
rebuild the
эта
events as
фигня
they
про
took
расставь в
place.
правильном порядке.
With a
Это
time
прямо как
such as
в
you did, Jack the Ripper.
Джеки Потрошитель. Спасибо, Ватсон, я о том
Perhaps the
же.
entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
Я чисто вспоминаю, что это уже было, Ватсон, такое это уже
So that we may
было.
recreate the events of that morning.
Так, где оно было? Я потерял. Так, сяк. Нормально, вот. Телек меня достал уже, я честно скажу.
А ПНГшка снова пропала.
Ну,
Сначала
конечно.
даже не поняла. Эх.
Дела вот в Шерлока играют. А запутался. Уехал.
let us summarize. Montague
О,
Dunn was
с
poisoned
первого раза.
inside the colonial collection. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen at 10:10. This means that he has approximately 10 minutes to lock the door of the colonial collection room. Given that he was club-footed, it is doubtful. Albert also has 10 minutes to lock the door of the colonial collection room, which is quite enough time. Miss White was last seen at 10 o'clock, which means that she had approximately 20 minutes to lock the door. More than enough time. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
Ладно, виправдаємо.
Всех оправдываем.
Нет, не всех. Просто тут, по сути, вся игра о том, что преступления случаются в основном, типа...
Из-за того, что довели.
Да, из-за того, что у человека там вся жизнь разрушена.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining, the deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one
Блин,
moment.
там вроде опять
Now listen to
китые
me,
будет.
Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal
Ну,
yourself.
как же без этого?
Quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me, but she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
I am not blaming you, Miss White. You are a young and brilliant woman, trapped in a dull and hostile world. Life has never been easy, men in particular.
You... It is hopeless.
Indeed. Well, it may be true that I cannot yet change the world, but I can spare your life.
My life. There is nothing left to save. I have lost everything. Do you hear me? Everything! And you were just like all the others. You would abuse and take advantage of a vulnerable woman.
I hardly think so. Now just listen to me.
I've tried so hard, but I have had enough.
Miss White, no!
Нет!
Нет, мотаю головой.
I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
No, it's too late.
по моей вес это в первый раз
Well
вынес.
done, Watson.
Анимация
She was
просто
not
очень
fitting.
смешная.
Miss White, you
Матка
have
у меня
no
лапка.
right to take your own life.
Вот, значит, я хлопнул по ладони,
Dr.
такой,
Watson?
бери.
Да, ну
Did
со
you
звуком и
just
со
say
скором,
that? Or worse?
с тем напряжением. Ты следующая глава.
Ну да.
Да.
Там же еще есть незнакомые персы. Но это мы в следующий раз вроде.
Да, в следующий раз я уже заканчиваю.
Where are you going, Holmes? Have you been invited somewhere?
We have been
Ладно.
invited.
Выходим из игры.
Сцена останется же?
Что?
Сцена останется?
Ну, мы ее потом заново посмотрим, а вышел в середине катсцены, типа.
Отлично. Хорошо, тогда я пойду.
Да, заканчиваем на сегодня.